Hey there, busy mama. I got you. No need to worry. I did the homework for you. As your wellness concierge, I'll connect you to greater health and guide you to be fully alive and well. I'm a former Navy nurse and lactation consultant turned homeschool mama, focusing my love of education and health and wellness toward helping others. I don't even pretend to have it all together, and I'm totally okay with that. I can keep it real. I'm here for encouragement, sharing my voice and my journey, and to have fun. And just maybe a little learning too. Here, you'll find education, empowerment, and authenticity on a weekly basis. I am your host, Stacey Myers, the Hotmess Homeschooler. Welcome to the podcast. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to talk about titanium dioxide, which is something that you've more than likely been hearing about in the news or at least on social media. I'm going to start with a story. You guys know that I am all about reading labels, looking at ingredients, and living a toxin-free lifestyle to the best of my ability. I mean, sometimes it's 80-20, sometimes it's 90-10, but I do my best in the ways that I can. So, rewind several months ago, I was traveling and I started my cycle a whole week early. I didn't have the stuff that I normally use because it was at home and I wasn't planning on starting. So my daughter was getting ready to start as well, and we just decided to run to Target, grab some supplies. So we had them and we're able to use them. So we're down the aisle, the feminine hygiene product aisle, and we're looking at different, tampons and pads. But to be honest, we were kind of in a rush, so I just grabbed something that looked good. It had organic on the front, so I was like, okay, this is great. Let's grab some of these and get going. I know, this is what I talk about all the time, but we used them on the trip, and I was using the pads intermittently, over the last couple cycles, but my daughter had been using the tampons regularly. And just last week, she was at a friend's house, and the friend's daughter showed her a TikTok about a girl who had all kinds of different issues and potential ovarian cancer, and she's attributing it to this brand of tampons. And Emily blew her off at first because she says, oh, well, my tampons are organic, so I don't have to worry about that. And then when she saw the TikTok and went home and she was like, oh my gosh, that is the brand that I've been using. So rightfully so, she was shocked to find that out, and to even why do we have them in the house? Because she knows how I am. Thankfully, she knew enough to throw them out. But I'm really frustrated that I never even thought about double checking the back. And the main issue with these tampons is that they have been bleached in titanium dioxide. So, okay, we learn from our mistakes and do better and move on, right? So thankfully we got rid of all of those products. They're not in our house. And I was looking through some of the different studies, which I'm going to go into. But the bottom line is that I don't want anything even potentially carcinogenic, to be used. There's no need for it. And I know how to read the labels, and I got lax. It just happens. It's real life. And my daughter said, I guess you just see that organic on the label and you get comfortable. Yeah, that's exactly. See how easy it is to be deceived? I mean, this happens all the time. This is what marketing and advertising is counting on, for you to see no parabens, no phthalates, no this, no that, organic. You see this on the front and you're like, great, I'm making a good choice. But I say all the time, you flip that bottle over, and then even organic products have toxic preservatives and other crap in them that you don't want to use necessarily, especially when you're paying more money for essentially organic garbage. Does that make sense? So anyhow, I like to share this stuff, and I want to be transparent because, I'm always teaching people about making better choices and safe swaps. And look, it even happened to me. So I want to talk more about titanium dioxide. I mean, you may have, like I said, social media seems abuzz with these pesky, toxic tampons. But one thing that's really important to note is that the brand L, which was the brand that I used, the organic ones from Target, is not the only one out there by any means. Seriously. Almost every other brand contains toxic ingredients in their tampons and pads. Look at a box of Playtex, Tampax, all of those. I guarantee you're going to see lots of other crap in there, not just cotton and string. You'll see all kinds of things, including titanium dioxide. So that's why it is so important to read these labels. The now infamous brand L, I think, is just getting crap about it because they splash the organic label all over the front. So yeah, it's organic, but then you're using these potentially carcinogenic products, or ingredients on those. And you look at the backside and you can see these sus ingredients all in there. So a lot of people are fooled, even people like me who know what they're doing, or ones that don't even know to look for this to begin with. So that is the main issue with that particular brand. But all of them, it's not just them. This is why I challenge you, go take a look at what you're using and see. What do you see on the back of the label? You might be surprised. So titanium dioxide is a white powder that's used to pigment various foods and products. Basically, it makes them whiter. It's the whitest and brightest pigment option that they have. So that's why it's crazy to me. Why would we be even using this in tampons? Who cares what color it is when you're sticking it where the sun doesn't shine? I just don't understand. Here in America, titanium dioxide is found in many different food products, dairy, yogurts. There's other things as well. You just have to take a look at that label. And last month, there was a big Skittles controversy because it's in there. However, Skittles probably should have done more of a focus on being called out for being a frankenfood filled with neurotoxic food dyes, because again, just like with the L tampons, titanium dioxide is found in many, many foods that we have. It's found in makeup, found in toothpaste, paint, plastic, and chewing gum, to name a few things. So again, reading these labels. In the European Union, it's banned for being a potential carcinogen. So again, which begs the question, thankfully, it's banned other places, but in America, apparently we don't care. It's allowed in all of our stuff. So why it's important to advocate for ourselves in looking at these labels. Another thing with titanium is when we look at the studies, the route of exposure is an important factor. So usually these are like inhalation, breathing it in, consumption, eating it, or absorption, like through the skin or mucous membranes. The International Agency for the Research on Cancer classifies titanium dioxide as a group 2B carcinogen, which means it's possibly carcinogenic to humans when it's inhaled. Absorption is another thing, okay? When talking about titanium dioxide, the fact that it's one of those things where I always say size matters. Particle size, that is. Nanoparticle titanium dioxide is a much smaller particle, less than 100 nanometers, that is more easily absorbed and digested. So it's teeny tiny, fits through all those spaces. It's easy for it to get assimilated into your body. If it's applied on the skin, breathed in, or eaten, these particles can get into your circulatory system, it floats around, and eventually accumulates in target organs like the liver, brain, and kidneys, and then can cause dysfunction. Non-nanoparticle titanium dioxide is bigger. It's larger than 100 nanometers and is unlikely to be absorbed or accumulate in the body. So this is really important when comparing brands of makeup and, of course, natural sunscreens, because natural sunscreens use zinc oxide and titanium dioxide for their effectiveness, okay? So it makes sense and is even necessary for it to be used in these products. But again, size matters. Please make sure that your products only use non-nanoparticle titanium dioxide. Sorry, that was a tongue twister. Now, here's the other thing. You can read your labels, so say you're looking at a sunscreen, for example, and you see it uses titanium dioxide. If it doesn't say non-nanoparticle on the label, then chances are it's a nanoparticle, which is bad. Okay, it's the small ones, and you want the big ones. Because it costs more to use non-nanoparticles, and it's not required, if a company is using the non-nanoparticles, the good kind, chances are they're going to list it proudly on the label. Okay, if you have specific questions on a product, I really encourage people to always reach out to the company directly and ask, because that's important. Especially when choosing, the natural and organic product lines have grown significantly over the last couple years, and you want to make sure that you're making good choices. So that's definitely one thing to look for. Again, if this information has you feeling overwhelmed and confused, remember, I did the homework for you. Okay, my favorite brand of clean makeup and my favorite brand of Reef and Human Safe sunscreen use only non-nanoparticles, the big kind, the good kind. I would still always avoid titanium dioxide in any form that's a loose powder and a spray to minimize any inhalation despite the particle size, though, just because, again, that route of inhalation definitely has been shown to have ties to cancer. But ultimately, what we need to remember is that your skin is your largest organ, and it's a carrier, not a barrier, okay? What we put on goes in, and this is why size matters. You want it sitting on top of your skin, not sinking in, circulating around, and then building up in your tissues. After all, titanium dioxide is considered a heavy metal. In many products, it's not even necessary. Like, why does it need to be in chewing gum, right? And I, as you probably can understand and assume, that I like to avoid all unnecessary additives in these products anyways. So if it's not needed, why use it? And going back to the tampons, even though the link is only a potential for causing cancer, that's a good enough reason to stay away. Again, it doesn't need to be sitting up anywhere, absorbing into my system, getting right into my bloodstream. It's just, again, not necessary. So I really encourage you to go flip over your products, read your labels, and make sure to check for the particle size. Nano equals bad, non-nano equals good. So, again, if you are feeling lost, confused, overwhelmed, please go to my website at hotmesshomeschooler.com/linkme. There you'll find my favorite brand of clean makeup, all of my favorite products, especially sunscreen. There are still some time for summer fun left. And all of those have been vetted by me, use only non-nanoparticles, are toxic-free, and do not have any yucky, scary chemicals in them that can harm you. I did the homework for you. Don't be overwhelmed. And while you're there, connect with me, follow me on the socials, and I will talk to you again soon. Have a great week, y'all. Well, you may have thought this episode was over, but I'm going to add a little more detail in one of my favorite products. Male listeners, you may want to stop listening at this point. Fair warning. My very favorite feminine hygiene product that I use is a Sea Pearls Sea Sponge. It is a natural, reusable tampon, basically, which may sound gross, but I'm going to tell you, I never thought in a million years that I could love a feminine hygiene product as much as I do. Someone suggested these to me years ago in my search for, obviously, being safe during my cycle, and I thought, oh my gosh, I could never use that. However, I have used the menstrual cup, several different iterations, but after having my son, my anatomy just changed and things did not fit quite like how they used to. And I also had an issue where my plumbing literally got backed up with wads of tampons because I grew up flushing them. I didn't realize you weren't supposed to. Okay. So taking them out and wrapping them up after they've been used is so gross to me. And then they sit in the garbage can. So the idea then of the sea sponge, I decided to give it a try. And in all transparency, I'm just going to tell you that it has been the best thing for me. Now, why a sea sponge? Well, they're reusable for up to 6 months. So that's a win because you're not buying a whole bunch of products that you're, every single month that you're going to use and then essentially throw away, right? They're natural. There's no fragrance or synthetic ingredients, and they're renewable, sustainable products, and they're super comfy. The sea sponge texture actually is very similar to that of your vaginal wall. So I can't even tell you how amazing it feels compared to like a regular stick-shaped tampon. You know what I mean? And I've gone back and forth a couple times, like if I happen to be traveling and I don't have my sponge with me, or sometimes I wear them if I'm going to go swimming or whatever. And I'll just tell you, the absorbency and the comfort level is just unmatched with the sea sponge. So there are some challenges, obviously, to using that because it is a sponge. And if it gets really full, what happens with the sponge? If you bend or squish it, it can be messy. So I also have renewable pads that I use as well. Reusable, not renewable. But I guess it makes sense too. That I wash and I just wear with those, with the sponge. So basically like it's a no waste cycle, which is great for the environment as well. And then again, there's no crappy ingredients or scary things like titanium dioxide sitting up against your skin for hours and hours and hours a day. The sea sponge you basically use, yes, it's yucky when you take it out, but I go right to the sink. I clean it out under running water, squish it again to make sure that it's like nothing is sitting in there once it's out, and then you just reinsert it. And the beautiful thing there is because it's a wet process, you're using it with like under running water. You can use a natural soap too to help, clean out as well. It just feels cleaner to me than taking out a regular tampon, wrapping up in toilet paper, and then that feels more messy to me than actually using the sea sponge. Now there's no string, so you have to be comfortable with like touching yourself and understanding your body to insert it. But honestly, like I've been using the sponge now for years and I can't even tell you how much I love it. So I see a lot of people say they're super messy. Like I said, I haven't found that to be true. I leak around the regular tampons way more than I leak out from my sea sponge, but that's where the reusable pads come in. Some people say they could break apart while you're inserting or removing them, but the brand that I've been using for years, I have never had that happen. Absorbency could be tough to figure out, because again, sponge being a natural product, like it may or may not be, they all are a little different. So you just have to figure out what works for you. And the brand Sea Pearls that I use, they generally have different sizes. They have a premium, which is a little bit softer. But I've never had any problems with, I have not had an infection. I have not had any issue. After the cycle's over, I rinse it out good, clean it with soap, and then I soak it in warm water. They give like 4 or 6 different ways to clean it, some with essential oils, some with other things that you probably have around your house, like peroxide or whatever, which makes it really easy to clean in between cycles. You let it dry out, and then it waits for you to be, ready to use again. So to me, it's really great. Again, again, comfortable. There is a learning curve, just like with anything natural, there is a learning curve. But if you're open to trying it, I cannot recommend it enough. So, don't recommend getting any different, like if you see sea sponges at like Michael's, those are for crafts. I had a friend who was not wanting to pay the price for the sea pearls. So she bought a big old thing of sea sponges. I was going to try those, except those are not cleaned and ready to use and processed for use, especially in a sensitive area. So she was getting these little, oh my gosh, I don't even know what it's called, but like almost like little shell things coming out. And like, can you imagine? You don't want to be stabbed down there when you're trying to use it. And they're rougher. So they're great for crafts. They might be great for using on your body, but not for using in your body. So I really recommend using the sea pearls or the another brand that was designed to be used for that. That is my my disclaimer. So give it a shot. Let me know if you end up trying it. I'd love to hear what your experience is. Again, just to be understanding, you need the learning curve. But all the people that I have recommended them to have started using them and, telling them all the pros and cons, and they are still continuing to use them. So take that for what it's worth. Give it a shot. To me, you can't get any more non-toxic and good for the environment than the sea pearls. So I will put the links for all of this that I mentioned. You can find them all on my website, hotmesshomeschooler.com/linkme. My Amazon favorites are on there where you'll find, any podcast mentions and feminine hygiene products and many different categories of stuff. So you can click right through there and see exactly what I recommend. So good luck on this journey, reading your labels and trying to avoid these pesky chemicals that they throw into everything, and choosing safe product swaps for you and your family. I got you, girl. Keep going. Good luck. Hey, thanks for listening. Head on over to hotmesshomeschooler.com where you'll find all the things. Connect with me on socials, check out the blog, and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform. I look forward to serving you. Have a wonderful day, and until next time, be alive and well.